going to take that information and what we want to do with that information is that we want to be able to then advise them. They share with us, you used the example earlier of, you know, your kid, oh, kids are getting ready to go to college. What college are they looking at? You know, do you have savings for college? No, you know, we really didn't do that. Well, you know what? Jack is great at that. I'm not that knowledgeable in it, but it would be my recommendation to you just to sit down and talk with them, see what your options are, take a look at what you have. Maybe your kids don't have to take full, you know, loans out. I mean, that's that tidbit of information that all you're doing is you're just recommending it. You're not selling them anything. They don't feel like they're being sold. And they might say no. Nah, you know what, it's okay. And sometimes I think it's even better when they say no, when you make a recommendation, and they go, nah, I don't think so. Because then they walk away and they go, she didn't have to say that. That was neat. That was cool that she, you know, made that offer. That's good stuff. But it also plants the seed that, wow, my kid just took out a lot of student loans. Maybe I should go talk to Jack. You know, those are the things that are going to resonate with clients. But like I said, you guys are so non-threatening, and it could just be taking on the form of, you know what, Mrs. Downer, I saw that you don't have comp and collision on your Honda. I just want to make sure that you understand what those coverages are. And if you want to add them, if you want me to do a quote for them. No, I know what they are, but thanks. You know, I was looking at your policy. I was just looking this over. The things that started out, I was just looking this over, and I just wanted to run this by you real quick. It's very nonchalant. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about this later on, but there's something that I want to point out. Asking someone about coverages on their auto insurance or on their homeowner's insurance, or where is your auto insurance? Can I quote your auto? I see that you don't have your auto with us. Has the same power. It's equal to, I see that you don't have your life insurance with us. When was the last time you reviewed that? It's the same. I think a lot of times we think, I can talk to them about the personal auto, but whoa. I'm like crossing over into uncharted territory to ask them about life insurance. They're the same thing. Having this, particularly you guys saying it, it has the same power because it's still all non-threatening. They're equal questions to ask. So I want you to keep that in mind as we move forward and not be timid, because people tell you so much information, and having that information saying, but this is what you told me, like I'm not pulling this out of the air. This is information that you've told me, that you've shared with me. And you know what? I don't know if this is a good idea or not, but this would be my recommendation. So that's going to be another way to build rapport. So this is going to be a technique. This was something that I learned. This was something that I learned in a recent, oh gosh, I guess it was a conference. It was long, a couple of days. It was good stuff though. And the skill is mirroring. And it really sounds just like exactly what it is. It's, I'm just going to copy what you do. So for example, some clients will sit and the whole time they're leaned back and they have their arms crossed. Now, my recommendation is not to sit there with your arms crossed and have that, you know, look on their face. But, you know what, they're being who they are, and when they see themselves in you, subconsciously, they're comfortable with you because they're looking at themselves. They're doing what you're doing. So if you're sitting there with your arms crossed and you're looking at, and Cindy is giving me information, and Cindy is so nice. She's so nice. If she's sitting there and if she's directly sitting shoulder to shoulder like we are, if she's like leaned to the side, listen, this is what, you know, we're going to do, they're going to be like, this lady, no. But when someone sits there, square to you, arms crossed, and they're listening to you, then you sit square to them. We're not to the side, we're not over here. We're going to be square on with them. That's mirroring. And mirroring is going to be not just your body language, but it's also going to be the tone of your voice. Some people just talk really loud like this. And then other people say something. Do it for me.
I'm just a loud person. I can't help it.
You walk through the office and it's like there's a microphone at Emily's desk. And she's like, well, I don't know what else to tell you, but, you can't swing the... I'm like, oh my gosh.
Her and Marie are the complete opposite. You can barely hear Marie when she's talking to you.
My God.
And isn't that interesting how some people just talk in a very low tone? So if I'm talking in a very low tone, I'm just using it as an example.
I'm totally okay with it.
See, I am too. But then I come across Emily, who speaks in a much louder tone pretty much all of the time. That's not, I'm not seeing myself in her. And I could maybe feel intimidated or like, God, I don't want to, I'm just not, they're not being receptive to you. Because that's my point, is you want them to be receptive to you. You want them to hear the words that are coming out of your mouth. Because you hear the words that are coming out of my mouth, right? Okay. And you want them to listen to you. You want them to hear the recommendations that you're making, and then you want them to be easily to be able to say, yes, that's a good idea. So if I look like you and I sound like you and I'm using the same words as you, that's what I do. And I come across people that, like Dr. Kim. Did you see how excited I got when we were like, oh my gosh, I love Dr. Kim. Because I see myself in her. I see that that's what I would do. My hair, what'd you say about me?
I said amen.
So it's, I'm in that mirroring stage. It's like, God, it's exactly right. And that's what you want people to do. And being relatable goes right back to our entire topic of building rapport and building relationships. You want to have that. So again, the skill, and again, it's so simple and I love it. I love things that makes things so easier for me, like so much easier for me. So as I'm talking to someone, and it's going to be my body language, it's going to be my eye contact, which we talked a little bit about eye contact before the meeting got started. Reggie shared some interesting information with me that one lady could not, it actually made her uncomfortable to make eye contact, correct?
Because it was a distraction.
It was a distraction to her because she then started thinking about all the things about that person rather than being ultra present and listening to what they were saying. I don't think that happens for most people, right?
I was surprised to read it.
Yeah, I've never heard of making eye contact unless you're like zoning out. That's what kind of, when you're like, yeah, like Jack could be saying something, I'm sorry, what did you say? Like you're looking at them, but you're not looking at them.
But if you're looking at them and you picture them in underwear, then I could see.
That works for me.
That's interesting. That's a good way to think about it. I hope.
looking at some courses on public speaking because it's not one of my strong skills.
So some self-development.
Correct.
Love it. I love it. So mirroring is going to be really just that, and it's going to be your tone of voice. I'm sorry, I'll back up to that. It's going to be your body language. It's going to be your expressions. And I know this is true for me, the people that you hang around with, you often find yourself doing the same expression. Like, I don't know how long ago, but I started somewhere along the line going, what do you mean?
No, Edith does.
I was just gonna say, I see Edith come in sometimes and I hear you girls, I'm cracking up. She'll say something, I'm like,
And it's not, and it's the whole, but it's also the expression, because you gotta like squint your eyes together. You can't just be like, what you mean? You gotta be like, what you mean? It's part of the expression. So body language and expression, vocal tone, tempo. Tempo is important because I know oftentimes when I am explaining, particularly something about a policy, and I've explained it like you've explained it a million times, you just know. Now on this form, you're going to sign this because this is stating that Farm Family gives the right to run a fair credit report, and they do that randomly to make sure that you don't owe any outstanding debts to any other insurance companies. Okay. That's all, you know, like that's, you know. The second one is saying that all the information you gave me is true to the best of your knowledge and you're due to penalty under law. So my tempo is like, and people don't, they hear the first word and they hear the last word. They don't hear what's in between. And sometimes, even when just going through and explaining coverages, I'll get done and I'll say, I feel like I just ran through that. Did I make sense? Do you have any questions? And there's been times that I've literally, let me start over, because I didn't do that right. And it was really because of my tempo, my pace was way too fast than the pace that they were using. You know, some people, they're like, I don't, you know, give it to me, let's do it, you know. Use your best judgment. Eye contact, we talked about that, and word choice. It's just whatever words they say to you, and you can start out with, if I hear you correctly, you're telling me that, and you just repeat exactly what they said. You just do that preface. I just want to make sure that I understand you, that when you have that claim, and just repeat what they said. And if there was anything that they needed to add, typically they'll add it back in rather than you having to pull information. When a client can see themselves in you, it gives them a level of comfort. When clients are comfortable, then they're more willing to talk about themselves. The more they talk, the more we learn about them, and the better we can serve them. So going back to rapport and relationships, dealing with our attitude. You know, at the end of the day, it's like I said, we're in a relationship business, and the better we can serve them, the more they're going to go tell other people how great and wonderful we are. The more they're going to stay with us. There's a statistic that says, and you might have to help me with this, Jack, it costs 5 times less money. No, I'm sorry. It costs 5 times more money to get a new client than is to keep a client that you have. And that might not seem like it has a lot of relevancy to maybe you guys in your position, but it's a good piece of information to keep in the back of our mind, because all of those things that cost our business more money, and it does, between marketing and gas, being on the road and knocking on door, and all those things, those are the things that affect the bottom line of the business. So when we can do our part and keep clients and better serve them, it's a win-win for everyone. You know, we want to frame our message by mirroring. Though we're still talking about that tactic, but when we frame our message in that way, it's how they're going to best receive it. There was in some personal development that I was working on, something that stuck with me, and some of it is, it's about communication, really. That it's not always about what's more important to you. How you want to say your message, or that you want your message to be received. I'll say it again. Is it more important to you to be able to say your message how you want to than for your message to be received? So for example, I'm picking on you a lot today. I'm really sorry. I'm sorry.
Smiley.
So I have my sister Emily, and I have another sister, Jennifer. She's 24. And how I can say something to Emily is not how I can say it to Jennifer. It could be the same exact message. It could be the same exact advice. But to Jennifer, I need to say it like this. Jen, really? That's what you want to do? You thought that was a good idea? You need to get it together. Like, that's ridiculous. You're 24 years old. You know better. Mom and Dad didn't raise you like that. That's embarrassing. You need to get your act together. You need to do X, Y, and Z. I'm here to help you. I love you. But that's not cool. That's how I have to talk to her, really. But because she hears it, she's going, oh, okay. My tone of my voice, the pace that I'm using, the body language, that's how I know she best receives my message. Right, see, if I say that to Emily, look at her face. It doesn't, I want to say the same thing, but it's not. Now, my point is, I want to say, you need to get it together. This is ridiculous. I want to say it like that because maybe I'm angry, I'm upset in that moment. But if I say it like that, she totally shuts down. She's like, whatever, I don't care what you think. And the message never gets received. But if I come to her and I say,
Dear loving sister,
You're the best sister in the world.
you know that I love you
I would
very
love
much.
that.
I've known you every day of your entire life, and I love you very much. But this, it's not going to work. It's not a good look. It's just, so, but I love you, and I want to help you, so you tell me how I can do that. And then we're dancing on sunshine again. But she heard my message. I mean, that's my point. You know, that dealing with clients, dealing with family, dealing with friends, dealing with spouses. I don't have kids, but I imagine dealing with kids. Can you imagine mirroring? Who has kids in the room? Can you imagine mirroring your children and how they act sometimes? Do it. I want to hear about it. I want to see how they like lose their mind in the store and you just lose your mind right back with them. They're going to be like, what? And you're going to be like, yeah, GACSR meeting. Get in the car. We're out of here. But it's, it can all be crossed over. It's all those things that regardless of the relationship, whether it's with a client, it's with your family, it's with your friends, it's with a total stranger, this is a skill that we can all use. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Does it not make sense? Is any part of it not?
Can you say it again, the message?
The message
Is it more important?
is it more important for you to say what you want to say, the way you want to say it, than for your message to be heard? Sometimes I just want to say it. And then I'm like, and I've done that. I said the way I want to say it. What you going to do about it? And then they went and did something about it. And I was like, oh gosh, no. It just made the situation so much worse than what it has to. Trial and error. You make your mistakes, you learn from them.
But that's the thing, you know your sisters, and it's hard to always know your clients. And the ones we do know, you kind of morph into that. You mirror that person. You kind of, oh, this is how the person's going to be back. You kind of talk them on, layman's terms, and then somebody else comes in and you got to change that. But some of them you don't know, and it takes a while to figure it out, and that's the challenge.
That it is. And you know what? The thing is, it's always going to be there. The challenge is never going to go away. It's just never going to go away. We're always going to have it. But if we can go into it. And I think that's, again, I've been reading a lot about perspective. And it's true. We're not going to change the challenge. It's always going to be there. We're going to have new clients. We're going to have things that happen that hurt our relationship, hurt our rapport. But if we can't immediately identify it, then we need to go back to, okay, then I just need to make sure that I do it over and over and over and over and over and over again. Whereas in some clients that we know, or that we start on the right foot, we got to do it a couple of times until it becomes more natural, becomes more authentic. But those other clients, you really are. The challenge is going to be there, and you're going to have to try. You're going to have to just do it over and over and over again. But I've spoken to people who have had that particular situation, and they say, you know what, it works.
It does.
I made a breakthrough.
One person I wrote down, but everything you're saying is like, I figured him, Now he's good, but he was so difficult for 3 years just for a simple audit. Was always quoting me that this is too much money. He would call every few weeks and have me do so many things. And one day, I didn't have his quote ready like I always did, and I said, I'm sorry, I was really having a very bad personal day, and I apologize. He has been amazing since then. I think he just wanted to see me as a person. And I really don't think that's very professional to always say that, but I didn't know what else to say about why I didn't have it done, and he just battled me down. And he's been good now. I mean, it's been a couple months. He still calls all the time for stuff, but now he's kind. It's amazing. Like, what he really wanted was to know that I was real.
That's
I don't know.
And I'm glad
It's
that
crazy, but it's exactly what you're saying. I just didn't give up. I still was trying, and just that day, I kind of just humbled a little bit. So it's great.
all those words that you just used, I mean, I love it.
But now when he calls, I'm not like cringing because I know that he's going to be understanding. We're kind of together now. It's like
We have that connector.
Yeah.
You know, and in your situation, that connector was, I just had to let them know. I mean, I'm a human too. I didn't mean for this to happen. I apologize. Here's the reason. And most people, like I said, you were being humble, you were being authentic, you were being genuine. Most people, there are some mutations out there in the world, but most people will recognize that. And they'll be like, okay. So there is, again, that human connection, but we still want to lead that they're professional. We're going to give them advice. We're going to make their recommendations. We're going to advise them the best that we know now, the best that we know how. Because you know what, at the end of the day, what I know is I know this insurance. I know it. And I want to help. I want to serve you. I want to give you all the options, even if you don't take them. Because at the end of the day, I got to go home and I got to be able to say I did a good job. I feel good about today. That's part of this. So again, Kathy, I think that's great. I think those are, sometimes I call you just got to break it down. Like, listen, this is what it is. I'm sorry, but I'm going to get it done, and we're going to move forward. So are our minds and our hearts still open? Are we ready for lunch and a sandwich?
I'm hungry.
Yeah, I'm with you. My stomach's growling. I'm like, oh.
I'm going to have a question.
Well, it's not really a question, but I think what you're saying about being that way with clients, you can also be inside your office. I mean, we have a large office, but just sometimes I just feel like I can't talk to this one client, or I just can't do it. And because I just know I'm not going to go into it with a good attitude, so I call Stacy, I'm like, I just can't do it. Physically, I just can't. I know I can't talk to him. He makes me, agitated so easily. And she gets that, it's okay to show some kind of weakness, or just to show that you're really a person too with the people that you work with. Because I think a lot of times we'll be defensive, or I'm busier than this person, or the agent could care less about me, or what I do every day. They just think I'm here to serve. I mean, there's all these thoughts that we can go through as CSRs, that sometimes just showing that you're actually a real person too in this world with problems outside of your agency shows them, whoever, your coworker or your agent, like they're a real person too. This is their job, but they have this whole big life that they have to lead outside of here, that it's not easy leaving your problems or issues at the door. Right. And so I know I go to Dawn all the time, like, I just can't do this. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And she'll pick up where I leave off, or, I do it to everybody, and we all do it to each other. So I think it works really well inside the office and building that rapport with each other.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. I mean, that's because people that we're around the most, we think it might be our family, but we're spending a lot of time in the office around people. I mean, the majority of our day can be with one another. And not that any other relationships are not important or less important, but the people that we're working with, the people that are our help and our resources. I mean, having a good relationship with the people that we work with, having a good relationship with your GA, having a good relationship with Edith, being able to feel like you can reach out to someone, and it can be your agent. I need a timeout, but I think I mean, that's a great point, Emily. And having good rapport and good relationships with the people in your office also does what?
Builds morale.
Morale. I mean, isn't that, I mean, all businesses I go to, people are like, oh, morale's down. Well, why? Why? Why is it down? We just had a picnic, we got early outs, we bought pretzels for everyone, you know, like we took an hour break. Like, why is it down? I don't know why. And if you really look at it, yeah, could there be some things that the company or the business is doing? But gosh, if we just take it back and start with ourselves, what can I do with the people that are around me? What can start with me? Like, the man in the mirror. Like, I love that song, right? Like, it starts with me. I just busted out the dance, a little Michael Jackson on there.
R.I.P. R.I.P.
But it's true. I mean, like, what can I start by doing with the people that I'm around all the time to make things better? And gosh, you could just be having a better relationship with them, better rapport.